Angel Mills, and welcome to the Philadelphia Business Leaders video series. Today, I'm speaking with Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Ballet, David Gray. So David, can you tell me a little bit about the Pennsylvania Ballet?
Sure. We are in our 52nd season. The ballet has a full-time company of 40 dancers and a second company of another 12. We run the Pennsylvania Ballet School, which has about 150 students through the course of the academic year, and then a summer program as well, and education outreach programs that we run through our community engagement division, teaching dance in public schools throughout the city.
Wow. So can you tell me, how did you end up here?
Gosh, I wish I knew. I've been working as an itinerant interim executive director for the last 2 years. I'm a certified financial planner, and I've been working in finance with people and finance with organizations. And when the ballet was facing a transition, they thought they wanted an interim director to come keep the lights on while they did a search for the new artistic director. So I came in, and after they named the artistic director, it's someone I've known a long time. I get along very well, and so when they asked me to stay, I was excited to do so. So now I am the full-time executive director and itinerant no longer.
So I know you mentioned before some of the programs and things that the ballet is doing. Can you tell me some of the other upcoming things that we can look forward to?
Oh gosh, well, with the new artistic director, there's a really amazing energy and excitement in the work that we're doing. So we're doing 9 ballets that haven't been done by the Pennsylvania Ballet before. We have a new world premiere of a Don Quixote happening this spring, a full-length ballet. And we also have a new commitment to our community engagement program. So our second company is going to be doing a world premiere, a new version of Jungle Book that we're doing in schools and theaters around the Philadelphia region.
Wow. So give me a moment to reference questions. You can edit this part.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Sorry, I know Bob's really particular about what questions he wants you to answer.
Okay.
So I want to make sure I get all of them.
That's okay.
Okay. Ready? Ready, start back? Okay, so what are some of your responsibilities as the executive director of the Pennsylvania Ballet?
Well, the big one is making sure the checks don't bounce. Which
That's a big one.
That's a big one. Yeah, people like it when their paychecks don't bounce.
Definitely.
But the organization is going through something of a financial turnaround. It became over-reliant on the individual or unique donor or event, where someone would sort of come in with huge money to save the year. We'd like to actually broaden the base of support both in terms of earned revenue and donated revenue so that we're not overly reliant on any one donor or support base.
So what are some of the initiatives or things you're doing to make the ballet more sustainable?
Well, one of the big ones to start with on the marketing side was that we weren't doing a whole lot of data mining. We know a lot about our ticket buyers, but we weren't using that data very effectively. So one of the first things I did was ask the team to come up with, can you tell me who is the average subscriber and who is the average ticket buyer? So let's start there before we worry about diversifying our audience or getting younger people or whatever. Let's make sure that we're just connected to the people that are already coming. So we determined that the average subscriber, she's 62 years old, she has graduate level education and disposable income of over $100,000 a year. And the single ticket buyer is the same woman 11 years younger. So the first job was, well, let's go find more of them. That should be easy.
You mentioned what your typical Pennsylvania Ballet ticket buyer is. What is the ballet doing to reach out to other people who aren't part of that typical audience that you usually have?
Well, one of the biggest things that we have to do is we have to overcome this image of what ballet is. I mean, you just say the word ballet, and of course everyone thinks it's tutus and tiaras. And we had a really interesting experiment with a couple of high school kids over the summer when we sort of asked them, look at our marketing, go to the theater, look at our shows, how would we get you to care? And it was fascinating. The kids said, your marketing didn't tell us which program we'd like. We sort of got the sense we should go see Swan Lake, but actually your other programs, were so much more cool and so much more interesting. And the hook was the music. So, for example, they were very, they said, you telling me about a ballet doesn't do me anything. But if I hear the music, if I hear this driving rhythm of some funky electronics, that I want to see. But we are not giving you an opportunity to know that that's what the music is, and so that younger people would be very turned on by that. So obviously, that gets us back to radio and places where we can actually use the music, and certainly what we do online. The other thing is that we have 52 gorgeous dancers, most of whom are, I think all of whom are younger than I am. And if we can't sell those gorgeous people, with online with video to see what incredible work they do, there's something wrong with us. So getting people excited about what's out there. Just by showing it to them. I mean, I think that's the hurdle. If I tell you, come to the ballet in a theater that you perceive as stuffy that's not so exciting. But if I say, come see cool young people dancing to really cool hip music, you're more likely to show up. So, the burden's on us to make sure that we're telling the story, that's true and effective.
I think that's very interesting because as a younger person, I can definitely identify, with that group. And I do think about, or I wonder if younger people are becoming disinterested with classic artistry. And if so, why is that? And, what would be your opinion on it?
Well, God, this is like the $1 million question in the performing arts in general. It's fascinating. We had a gala on Friday night just this last week, and, I was thrilled that, I think the average age in the room was probably about 45. The youngest crowd of any of the galas of the major arts groups, and I think part of it is familiarity, part of it is certainly the expense is very steep for all the performing arts, so we try to make sure that we're coming up with either youth tickets or student tickets and prices that people can afford, but also sort of breaking down the barrier of this isn't your parents' ballet company is kind of what you have to say. And I think I'm amused when I see orchestras around the country trying to find ways to find a visual component. They're showing movies while they're playing the music to the movie and things like that. And I'm thinking, well, gosh, we have a visual component already. We don't, we've got that covered. So if that's what people want to see, then we just need to make sure that they know that that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. So, kind of redirecting a little bit, what are some of the best parts of your job?
Gosh, the best parts of my job. I love being in the lobby when we open the theater, and it's funny. Organizations that get into trouble tend to have a very internal focus, and it's in my experience with lots of different kinds of organizations. People sit around with a bunker mentality. They're like, "Oh, what do we need? How are we going to fix this? What do we need?" And I had to remind the staff when I got here. It's not what we need; it's what the audience needs. Because I put on my little name tag and I went out to the lobby, and one of the staff said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going out to the lobby to greet the patrons." They said, "But you're wearing your name tag." I'm like, "Yes, of course I am." They said, "But if someone sees you, they could complain." I said, "Well, if they have a complaint, I probably should hear it. And so should you. Why don't you come with me?" And so trying to, reorient people to think about the audience. And it's, I guess it's kind of easy to forget. I work in an office. Our dance studios don't have audiences in them. And when we're in the theater, it's very easy to be backstage and not even go out front. But that's, who we're doing it for. So to me, it's huge to make sure people reconnect with the audience. And the other thing that I enjoy doing, and I probably shouldn't admit to this, but growing up, I loved the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I just thought that was the greatest movie. And so at Nutcracker time, and we do like 30 performances the whole month of December, I'll find some family that looks like they made some effort to dress up and make a day of it, and I'll bring them backstage in intermission. I'll give them a tour. And I feel like I'm Willy Wonka at that moment. I mean, I'm opening this magical world when they come backstage and get to meet the dancers and see all this up close. Now, the only reason I'm hesitant to say this is because some dancers have thought that turns them into Oompa Loompas, which maybe is not what dancers want to be called. But in any case...
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
But the other reason I like to do it is, by the time you get to like the 20th performance, the dancers, they've done this 20 times now, and they're tired, and it starts to feel repetitive. But I need to remind them, for the audience, it's opening night. This audience wasn't here 20 times. This is the first time they're seeing it, so they want to be excited too. So I love being able to, be in a position to, inspire the dancers, but also to, give audience members this incredible, unique opportunity. I love that part of the job.
So it seems like you really want to make sure you maintain the morale, not just with the audience members, but of course with your dancers and with your employees. So what are some other things you do just to kind of build that community?
Well, the big thing is try to include people in discussions, include people's ideas, and it's interesting. Some people embrace that. Some people are terrified that if they say something, they're going to get shot down. And, my feeling is anyone in the room might have a better idea than me. I didn't come here with the greatest ideas in the world. The board entrusted me to make smart decisions. And, most of the time I think I do, but that doesn't mean I have to have all the ideas. It means I have to be able to, pick the right ideas out of the room. So trying to make sure there are people who feel that they can contribute and engage, is important to me. It's interesting, I was at a talk recently where someone said, they have zero tolerance for negative energy, and I was kind of laughing to myself, because when you work in turnarounds or you fix broken organizations, if it weren't for negative energy, you'd have no energy at all. So, I can't say that there's a zero tolerance policy, but, I want to be with positive people. This is fun. This should be, the audience is supposed to come out because they're having fun. In answer to one of your questions, is the audience waning or younger people not coming? And the younger people have lots of opportunities to do other things. They want to take their media experience in many different ways, not just sitting in a theater. And so the onus is on us to make it fun. You have to want to come do it. You shouldn't come because you feel like you're supposed to come do it. We're not going to last long if that's the way it is. So making it fun is important. And as simple as being in the lobby to greet people and let them know that we appreciate them being there is a small way I can contribute to making people feel like this is something special for them.
So, I'm going to redirect. So I asked you, what are some of the best aspects of your job? So you've mentioned some of the challenges, and we talked about morale, we talked about audience members, attracting young people. What are some of the other challenges you face?
Well, of course, the financial challenges are always a huge deal. I mean, I think the reason I've been doing this itinerant work and consistently having work is that some years ago I wrote a book on nonprofit cash flow, and that's a huge issue for lots of nonprofits, and equally true for us. You can have a balanced budget, but it doesn't mean the money comes in when you need it. And I liken it to personal finance. If you had to pay all your rent on the first day of the year, you might have a problem. You don't have a problem if you can stretch it out over the 12 months, but you have a problem if it's all the same the first day. And in organizations, we get paid in different ways. We have foundations that give us grants for the year, but they come in at one time, and we have to figure out how to manage all that. People pay tuition, and then we have to deliver those classes for the next 9 months, and we can't spend all that money. So, there's a lot of work that goes into, robbing from Peter to pay Paul to make sure you make it through the year, even in a healthy organization. So that's a tough one. And then certainly, I don't enjoy having to discipline staff that's perhaps not performing where they should be, but it's part of the job.
So for a younger professional who is looking to have a job similar to yours or to direct a nonprofit arts organization, what is some advice that you have for them?
Run away. No. It's a lot of fun. I think, you want to work with people who want to see you grow. And and our business is no different than any other. There are good managers and there are bad managers. There are people who are inclusive and there are people who are not. One of my favorite job interviews I had with a guy some years ago, I said, well, where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? He said, I want your job. And I'm like, great. Here's someone who wants to learn. He's not going to just sit there and put in 9 to 5 and get out. He wants to learn how to do this job. And of course, knowing me, being itinerant and getting bored, I'm sure I won't be here in 10 years, so someone else better be ready. But I like those kinds of people who come in with some ambition, some excitement, ideas, and and the understanding that they're not going to be taking over in 2 years, but if they spend time and learn, they have the opportunity to grow in the business.
So this connects to what you just said about some of the skills that you're looking for or that are needed for someone in your position. So if you are hiring someone, what are some of the skills that you're looking for them to have?
I want energy. I want people who are excited about doing the work. I want people who are outgoing. We're in a customer service business, and I got all kinds of customers. I have customers in the theater, obviously, but I have a board of directors, and they need to be served in various ways. So we need to be attentive to their needs and making sure we're talking with them. When we do our community engagement programs, sometimes we're delivering the programs to children, but the customer might be the school or it might be a funder, and so we have to make sure that we're balancing the needs and still delivering quality programs. But for me, it's really about smart, energetic people. Years ago, when I was in high school, I worked for a guy who had a testing firm, and what they used to do was they had this sort of psychological profile, and the notion was that people succeed in jobs not because they have the experience necessarily, but because what the job offers them feeds their ego. So he would, when they started with a sort of rudimentary test on sales people, and they said, well, if you were, really a sort of pushy, aggressive person, you're probably a good car salesman, but you'd be lousy at selling homes because people don't buy homes because they get pushed. But if you were very empathetic and someone who really listened well, you'd probably be a much better person selling homes because then you can actually hear what people's lifestyles, what they're really saying about what they need in their life, and you can find the home that connects to that. So, with this notion that there's sort of psychological needs that get fulfilled by, different kinds of positions. So I'm less fussed about someone necessarily having the experience for, a junior person in marketing. They don't have to have a great marketing background, but do they have a passion and an interest and energy to learn, and are they excited to, interact with people and so for example, I've had PR people who, they're good writers, but they want to sit quietly in a corner and write, and I'm like, that's not the job. The job is to go out and shake hands, and the job is to be at meetings, and I always tell people, when you go to one of these meetings, like a conference of some kind, make sure to stand up and ask a question so that everyone in the room knows you were there. Ideally not a stupid question, but and I try to do the same thing. If I go to some community meeting, I want to make sure that everyone knows that the Pennsylvania Ballet's director was there, and because I think it matters for us to be seen in the community, and I think it matters for young people to be seen. I mean, networking is how I got every job that I have, and I think young people need to learn that skill probably first.
Definitely. So kind of what it sounds like you're saying to me is that people need to not be so married to what they think their job description is, but be open to doing other things. Like if you're really overall passionate about the organization, or you're passionate about being a part of this team, then you're willing to do things that aren't just writing a press release or
Well, look,
those
I mean,
types of
you
things.
want people who will achieve professional competence. So, I once worked in an organization where sort of everyone I said they were passionate generalists. They loved the cause, but they had no skills. That's not good either. But having people have a passion and an interest, but who are willing to learn and be flexible. We have a running joke here that at the bottom of everyone's job description it says other duties as assigned, because you just don't know in our line of work. I mean, after the gala, the big exciting gala, we raised $250,000, and I was the MC and all this stuff. But I had to carry costumes back to the office at midnight, just like everybody else. Because you just got to get stuff done, and you can't, I can't be running around going, I'm the executive director, I'm above that kind of work. You're like, it's not that big an organization. You do the work that needs to get done, and I need everyone who's here to roll up their sleeves and have that kind of attitude.
I think that's awesome. So basically what you're saying is you need to just do whatever it needs to be done, and whatever it needs to be done to get the job done.
Exactly, and that's the kind of mindset, and frankly, in my experience, most performing arts organizations, thrive with, because if you don't love it, I mean, at some level, you probably get paid better to do similar work somewhere else. So if you're not really loving what we're doing, it seems like an odd place to be. But having said that, if when the curtain goes up, and if you can take some inspiration of feeling a small part of that. I mean, I tell people we are in the dream business. What happens on stage for most of us is something we can only dream of. Certain dancers get to dance roles they've been dreaming about their whole lives. That's one aspect of the dream business. In our school, dreams come true when a kid gets to take a class in a professional studio for the first time and see that possibility is there for them. In our community engagement programs, there are kids who probably dream of dance but had no idea that this world was open to them as well. And so we can give that dream, some wings, as it were. And, seeing kids who get excited and have that opportunity, or seeing kids perform for the first time in a theater, that's really empowering stuff. And so, I as a parent, I expect my kids to do that, but a lot of families in Philly, never thought their kids were going to get those opportunities. And so to see them have those opportunities and see the kids thrive and really do well, it's like, this is cool, this is great stuff, we should all take pride in this. And if that doesn't matter to you, then what the heck are you doing here?
So what would you say are some of your long-term and short-term goals for the Pennsylvania Ballet?
Well,
either while you're a leader here, or just even after, if or when you move on. Yes.
Well, I'm thrilled to say, I've done been involved with a number of organizations where we've had to make some, changes and transitions, and they're all still in business, so I consider that a plus. Short term, when I got here, we looked at the finances and we looked at the situation. We said, if we can grow the income, both the earned and donated revenue, by 20%, this place becomes eminently sustainable and not on the back of one specific donor. So that is the 1 to 3 year goal is, can we boost ticket sales? Can we adjust our pricing, use more of a dynamic pricing model to make sure that we're maximizing what we can get from our tickets, and on the donor side as well, we're making sure that we're connecting to donors and connecting the donors to the things they're passionate about. There are many donors who don't really care about ballet at all, but when they see what's happening in the schools, they get very excited. There are others who don't care about what's going on in the schools; they just want to see this great art flourish. That's fine. I love them both. I just need to make sure that we're connecting them to the right thing, so that they feel connected to the product. So in the short term, or short to medium term, that is the goal: is driving these better results for the organization. On the artistic side, the artistic director, it's his job to get people excited about really wonderful art going on stage, and he's doing that. I mean, the reviews and the like have shown that that this change is working. Longer term, I'd love to see this organization thrive. They have they've built part of a facility on North Broad that we'd love to complete in the years ahead. So that project is something I'd very much like to see move forward. Would allow us to expand our school and community engagement programs, as well as company rehearsal space, and ideally do more touring and make it a larger company. The orchestra has done a very good job of touring in places like China, and Philly's a funny place. I live in New Jersey, so I know from inferiority complexes. And I used to sit in boardrooms, and someone would say, "Oh gosh, if only we were in New York or Philly, we'd have it made." So I get here, and of course, sure enough, in my first board meeting, someone's like, "Boy, if only we were New York or Washington." I'm like, "No, stop. Philly's good enough. We can make this happen here." But it's funny that people, we're performing in New York soon, and assuming that's a big success, then people in Philly will get excited because when they hear we're successful somewhere else, they'll believe we're seeing here. So there's something about that I'd love to see us overcome. I'd love in time for people to believe that the fact that we're in Philly means that we're excellent. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm not so sure how good that is. So I think that's just a mindset thing about Philly. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with that, but I'd love to see that certainly change as far as the ballet is concerned.
Okay, so I have one more quick question.
Sure.
How many people are part of the staff for the Pennsylvania Ballet, including the dancers?
Oh gosh. When we're in the theater, I probably have over 220 employees. We have an orchestra, we have dancers, we have all the staff. In the summer, the dancers are off, the orchestra's off. In our administrative headquarters, we probably have about 18 people. At our school, we probably have another half a dozen that are full time. So we kind of, for 36 to 38 weeks of the year, we're really, really big, and then we're mercifully small the rest of the year.
So, David, if people want to visit the ballet or participate in some of the programs that you all offer, where should they go? How can they learn more?
Well, the best place is to start at our website, which is paballet.org. So PA like Pennsylvania, paballet.org. And that'll give you all the information you're likely to need, although you can certainly find us on Facebook and other social media as well. The social media is fun because a lot of our dancers shoot their own video in the studios and things and post them, and so we share those, and all kinds of silliness ensues. But it's a great, fun crowd, and if you spend any time in a dance studio, most of the time is spent laughing. Usually about once a week someone cries, but the rest of the time it's laughter, and it's an incredible energy. And so by all means, even if you don't make it to the ballet, I think folks will probably enjoy seeing some of these videos and just getting a sense of the creative energy that's going on.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please stay tuned to more interviews with the Philadelphia Business Leaders video series.